Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you watched my last video. If you have not, either I will add it up on the card or definitely wait to the end screen. I always add a bunch of videos that I think you guys might like. So guys, let's get down to the book review. Today, like I said, it is a book review, and you guys have heard of this gentleman, and he's been on a show as well on the Discovery Channel. It is the Bushcraft 101. Okay, and the Field Guide to the Art of Wilderness Survival by Dave Canterbury. Guys, this book's been around already for some time, and you guys are wondering, why am I talking about it now? I just want to give you guys my opinion on this book. As you can see, I might be glare because of the light and the book might shine. I put a few notes down here, as you can see, guys. Okay, I wrote a few post-its and a few little notes, and I'll be going over that. A lot of these things, guys, most of us, we already know, okay? But some of them, I just thought it was interesting just to recap again. And this book was written more or less about 2014. And just a quick little recap, Dave Canterbury worked on the Discovery Channel on dual survival. So he wrote a number of books down, and this is the first book, I believe. I also here to the side have another one, which I will wait until the end of the video to just quickly talk about this book. So the book is broken down in, let's see, guys, in 10 chapters, and each chapter has some sections as well. For example, chapter 1 only comes with part 1. Okay, chapter 2, let's see, chapter 2 just has 1. Okay, not a great example that I'm giving, but some of the book, some chapters, excuse me, are broken down into parts as well. So the first little tab that I wrote down, again, I will start from the beginning, and I still recommend you guys, absolutely, I recommend you guys to read the book for yourself. Don't just go based on what I'm saying. Okay, so the first thing, which you hear about this all the time in all these survival shows, is what they call the 5 C's, guys. I'm going to be facing down a lot, so forgive me if I'm not looking straight at the camera, because I want to make sure I get the correct pointers. Okay, the 5 C's, okay? And it is a cutting tool, a cover element, combustion device, a canteen, and cordage. That's obviously the 5 C's. Cutting tool, they obviously mean a knife or an axe, something like that. Cover, you know, is basically a cover shelter, either, you know, made out of in the woods, like branches, or like a tarp. Combustion device is basically, you know, a way for you to make fire. And if you read through the book, they will give you examples of what good examples of combustion devices. A canteen, obviously, to collect water or boil water. If you are collecting the water out in the woods, you definitely need to make sure it's safe for you to drink. And the only safe way for you to drink water out in the woods, if you're not bringing it with you, is by boiling the water. And cordage. Cordage is basically 550 cordage. You know, you'll see people making the stuff out of it for lanyards and bracelets, and even people put cordage in their boots, which is an excellent idea if you need to use it as a backup. Next tab. Again, guys, once again, forgive me if I'm looking down. I know I'm a broken record, and I've been called on that a few times, is the travel kit, okay? I think that's super cool thing he puts out there, travel kit. A lot of us who don't really, you know, hike or camp or woodsman. I'm not a woodsman in whatsoever. Okay, sometimes we overcarry or undercarry our travel kit. Okay, I prefer, to be honest, overcarry, but until a certain limit, because you know you can only carry so much weight. So what he talks about this travel kit is your personal care kit for traveler afoot. Okay, so basically he talks about things that you should carry like in your pocket, which is basic things like a knife, lighter, a compass as well. Okay, a belt. Okay, and in the belt most likely you would carry like your knife, like your fixed knife. Okay, he also goes as far as talking about a pouch. Okay, sunglasses. That's really important. I know that's one thing I want to talk about is the sunglasses. Is the sun, obviously, cold. It protects you from the cold as well. And, you know, if you're chopping wood, you definitely want to, you know, be safe and not injure yourself. Okay. And he talks about, as well as in this pouch, that you could carry your lighter, another spare lighter, because you never know, right? Handkerchief. That's another thing you could carry on your pocket. Cordage, either working gloves. You know, people have those with the carabiner you could clip onto your belt. Okay. And another thing that caught my eye here in this carry kit, again, let's see, guys, forgive me. Okay, is one thing I never consider, something as simple as like a trash bag. Okay, I never think of a trash bag to carry, but a trash bag for you to either put your trash, and even if you need to use it as to carry water for later, you know, to dump it in your canteen to boil. And a trash bag is going to hold more water than, let's say, a small, you know, 8-ounce canteena. So that's a good idea as well. And guys, I'm just giving you small little tips and details out of the book. There's a lot more, but that's why you guys got to buy the book and read it. And none of the books are being here that I will show. They're not being sponsored. I'm not being sponsored by Dave Canterbury or the writer of this book or the writers as well. I'm sure he had writers helping him to put this together. Nobody's sponsoring this video. I'm just, you know, picking little things out of the book, okay? Another thing that he talks about is batoning, guys. And basically, batoning is when you have a log, not a really big log. I want to say something about as big as maybe 12 inches long. And basically, you can use your knife as a batoning and make sure it's a good blade, a fixed knife. I would recommend, for this case of batoning, probably the blade as long as maybe 5 to 6 inches long. Okay, you basically grab another piece of wood. Okay, you put your knife on top of a log, and you're basically just banging until you split it in half, and you repeat that again until you split it in thirds as well, until you know you have the correct size that you are looking for. Once again, excellent idea. If you don't have an axe, you can baton with your knife. Okay, he talks about feather sticks as well, guys, on the book. I've seen it done on Dual Survival and other shows as well, and I thought that's pretty cool. The feather sticks is an excellent way to start a fire. You're basically doing shavings, you know, and leaving them, not completely cutting it, just leaving the shavings there, slice, 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 until you get almost like a little bouquet of shavings of wood, and then that will ignite faster instead of igniting a big piece of wood, which it won't ignite like that. Okay, so feather sticks is an awesome idea to start a fire. Next thing that caught on my eye, which I'm not an expert on it, it's knife care. Okay, Knife care is really important. You don't want your knife to be dull or to rust away. So every time you come from either hiking or camping or an outdoors activity and you use your knife, always take care of your knives. There's plenty of out there products, for your knife care, from different oils that you could use to care for the knife, as well as use a good stone to sharpen your knife. That's one thing, guys. If somebody's out there watching, and let me know, how do you use your stone? What are the different types of stone you use on the knife? I always have that issue, sharpening knives. I sharpen them, but I don't think I'm the best knife sharpener, if that's a word out there. So that's a situation I have. Saw. Okay? A lot of people don't think of taking a saw. Okay? A saw is a great idea to take camping. Okay? As well as, again, the axe. But the saw might be a little faster than the axe. Okay? There are saws out there. I'm going to tell you which it's called. It's called the bow saw. Okay. Matter of fact, I actually have a bow saw. It's basically shaped almost like a U. Okay. Let me see if I can show you here on the camera, guys. Okay. That is a bow saw. I said a U, but I guess you get the idea. And that saw is super light for you to carry. Okay, he talks about how to protect your saw. You're basically your saw, your blade itself, I should say. I think that's an awesome idea. I never thought of that. Is basically getting a like PVC pipe and storing the saw, the blade, I should say, right inside so it doesn't rust. Okay, that's one thing I absolutely never do. I store my my saw with the blade still on it all year round. And yeah, absolutely, it does get rusty. And that's one thing I gotta start doing, is actually removing them. And not a bad idea to stick it in a PVC pipe for storage. That's an awesome idea that he said on the book, and I wanted to share that with you. Okay, next thing I wrote down is splitting wood, guys. Last time I went camping, I tried splitting wood. Okay, fortunately we already had wood that was split around, and we had wood. But splitting wood is always an issue, and I tried splitting the wood and I had an issue. Okay, my axe is probably, up there. It's the Condor. I can't remember right now, top of my head. The Condor. Okay, it's the one that actually has a wedge. The axe itself is kind of, the steel is wedged, so once you slice, it wedges in. But I always have an issue of not being able splitting the log and staying there. It's always moving around. So I think what I need to do is, starting next time I go camping, is chop the wood on top of another wood log, or if there's like a dead branch, on the floor, put it on top and chop it on top there. I think for stabilization, that was one of the problems I had when I went camping. Let me know what you guys do in that case. Is that a good idea to do? Put your piece of log on top of another log to chop? Okay, I think that might be something I need to start doing. Next point is tree chopping. Okay, I absolutely had no idea how to chop a tree, and he explains it there. Basically, you got to shave like a notch, like on the side of the tree, and then you go either with an axe or a saw and slice it. And basically, that notch that you made, it's going to fall that way. That's the goal. Wherever that notch is, that is the goal, to fall that side. There's a lot of things you got to see on the tree as well. If there's branches going one way, that might cause it to move around. But you notch it and then you slice it, it's going to fall towards that side of the ground. I think that was a great new trick I learned here from reading this book. And again, he goes in more detail, so check out the book for yourselves. Okay, he goes into axe care as well, guys. That's something I wrote down. taking care of your axe, making sure after you use it, you clean the steel, you take the proper precautions by sharpening it. You know, that's something once you come from, you know, camping or hiking, if you used it, even if you didn't use it, there's always moisture in the air. You should always carry and take care for your steel. Again, going back to the chopping, one thing that I thought was pretty cool, which helps you chop, you know, a longer piece of log, is by adding wedges. Didn't think of that either. By adding wedges and then continue the chop, it's going to help you force the log again to crack open. I think that's an excellent idea, guys. Next pointer is knots. Okay? If you guys haven't seen any of my other previous knife videos, I don't know exactly which one I show you that, but I have done, I believe, what's called a snake knot. Okay, I really enjoy doing the snake knot, and I need to practice so I could get that knot even better. It usually stays a little loose on me, that knot, but I'm getting better at the snake knot. And he tells you different types of knots here that are convenient for different types of jobs. So I highly recommend you to read that part. And I even recommend you to have paracord with you to practice those knots while you're reading the book. And one knot that I actually wrote down, which I do a lot, okay, is the Lark's head knot, okay? Never even thought of that was the name. Okay, I'm going to bring it up here close. And that knot, guys, once again, it's called Lark's head knot. Alright? I've done that knot before. And that's a good knot if you want to hang up stuff. You know, it'll be good for basically hanging things up. It's a very simple knot to do. Okay, another knot is the Prusk knot. I believe that's what it's called. Okay, it's basically the same knot as the Lark's head knot, but done multiple times over and over. And you're basically doing like you're doing the knot like 2 or 3 times. Let's see if I can show you here. That's the Prusk knot. Okay, next tab is basically the Canteen, okay? Which is, we're on chapter 4 already. Now we're talking about canteens and cooking tools. So basically the canteen is obviously great to carry water if you're bringing water already from home, but as well as you want either stainless steel or titanium so you can boil water if you need to boil the water if you don't have water, as well as the canteen you can use to cook as well. So that's why you would prefer a canteen, guys, over a plastic cup or glass, you know? Next thing, guys, is a skillet. I'm sure most of you are familiar with skillets. Okay, skillets are awesome as well to cook inside the house. You could be cooking on the stovetop and bring it right into your baking and broil as well. Okay, a lot of people don't really like skillets because there's a process to cleaning it. Once you use it, there's a process you need to clean it. You just don't want to, you know, clean it with water. If you do use water, eventually, if not right on the spot, it's going to rust. And there's a process. You need to basically recook it. And there's videos out there showing you that. And I highly recommend you to watch them on YouTube, how to basically store your skillet. Just Google that and YouTube that, and you'll see it for yourselves. That's how I learned how to basically, you know, cure and take care of my skillet. Okay. And just there's no confusion. When I said skillet, skillet is the type that I have. Okay, but the physical name is is made of cast iron. That skillet is made of cast iron. Okay, I just want to clear that up. Okay, cast iron is actually the material, but it's shaped like a skillet. Okay, and I'm going back again. A lot of people are scared, to mess with cast iron because they don't know the process that needs to be done for you to basically maintain it. Okay, now we're going into talking about fire, okay? And I think this was cool. There's obviously a lot of ways making fire, that's a whole different thing, but making fire to cook something, okay? You can literally make a small little hole in the ground, make a fire, and have your skillet, your cast iron skillet, away from direct fire, and it's gonna heat because the skillet, the cast iron, it's all steel, so everything's gonna get warm really quick. So you can basically have a fire in front of you, make some type of tunnel, put your cast iron, your steel in front of that, and the smoke, the heat is gonna go right and cook right into your skillet, your food. And again, it's called the keyhole fire. I thought that was really interesting out of the book. That's something I never heard of or knew about. Okay, another thing, I know it's still in there, but he explains to you how to make an improvised stove out of like a Campbell's soup or a pea can soup. He talks about that, and he shows you a diagram on that. So I'm gonna leave that for you to see on your own. But that was a really cool little thing he teaches you. Okay, next thing we're gonna go into the shelter. Okay, the cover and basic cover, a tarp. I remember I spoke to you about that a little earlier. Is the tarp. The tarp, okay, you can get that at your local hardware store. They come in all different colors and different sizes. And don't quote me, but I believe some colors match with certain weight. Okay, there's different colors that go for different weights, for different material. I've seen that on some stores. Okay, I thought that was pretty cool. And tarp, you can make a tarp as well. If you don't have a tarp, make it out of branches. Okay, just put branches on top of each other and you will have your cover. Okay, next thing he talks about as well as is how to basically using that tarp. Okay, for example, like if some tarps come with the holes already stuck, so you could tie with the cordage and hang it on a tree, but some don't come with the hole. So basically a good idea you can do is basically get a small stone, put it right on the edge, make it like almost a ball, tie it up, and there you go. You have your makeshift hole there, and that works very well for you to hang the tarp on the tree. Okay, another thing is blow-up mattress, and that's really good if you're camping close by to your car or your truck. Is basically blow-up mattress. That's super convenient because you don't want to sleep on the ground, guys. Your body produces heat, and if you're going to be on the ground, cold ground, even if it's warm out, that heat is going to go away from your body. So either a blow-up mattress, or if you don't have a blow-up mattress, leaves, okay, all together, little small branches. It might not be the most comfortable thing. Put that on the ground and then put a blanket over it, okay? And blanket, most likely we're going to talk about that in the future here, is wool. Wool blankets are definitely best for you to stay the warmest. Okay. And another thing that you should always carry on you is the emergency blanket. That is definitely gonna help you stay warm, and there's tricks that you can use with the blanket to produce heat. And that, guys, absolutely recommend you to read the book, because he will tell you how to do that. Another thing you want to carry is a sleeping bag, obviously, okay? And they come in all different colors and sizes, so I'm going to leave that up to you, okay, guys? Next pointer that I thought was pretty cool is friction fire, okay? And I'm not going to get into that again because I'm not an expert on making fire, but read the book. He gives you a lot of pointers, and one of the pointers that he made that I thought was interesting is basically you can make fire sticks out of certain things, certain materials. You know, there's different for example, on a spruce tree, different saps you can use, different oils to make fire, including those glasses, you know. Or let's say if you're blogging, if you're a blogger in the woods, okay, some of your lenses pointed at the sun, it will reproduce a little beam of light, and that will make a fire, okay? You can also have what they call a flint and steel set, okay? That is basically kits you could get at your local you know, store, craft store might have things like that, as well as your camping store might have things like that. Guys, I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out the word. I don't want to promote the stores because I don't want to get in trouble here on YouTube. You guys know how that is. Another way to make fire is the famous bow drill, guys. I will show you here right on the book. And that is the bow drill. And he explains it on the book how to make the bow drill. Okay, so next chapter 7 is setting up camp, guys. I was just reviewing what was the next chapter, and he talks about now the 4 W's. Okay, it's wood, water, wind, okay, and widowmakers. Okay, wood, you obviously know what wood is. Water, obviously wind. Why is wind important? You don't want to be getting hit with wind on your face all the time. And widowmakers is basically loose branches, that can fall and hit your tent or your makeshift tent and destroy your camp, your shelter. Next tab is camp hygiene, okay? Just because you're out there with a friend or two, you want to make sure you're clean. You want to keep your hygiene clean. Wash your face in the morning, brush your teeth. Okay, that's going to give you that a little boost of energy to continue on with the next, with your next day. Okay, he goes on talking again. We're moving again, talking about fire crafting and making fire. Again, there are things you can carry. For example, a lighter, okay, a ferro rod, okay. Those are things you can already carry from home that will produce fire, okay, much quicker. Absolutely, I recommend a lighter, okay, but you definitely need a backup to that lighter. So a ferro rod would definitely be best, okay, to carry as well. And bird's nest is the most familiar way for you to start a fire together. So basically, you grab a bunch of the small little branches, little dead leaves, and make it so it looks like a bird's nest, okay? And then that's where you're going to start your fire out of that and build it on. The bird's nest is that right there. And that's how you should always, okay, start a fire. And it's the most I guess fastest way, the most way that you're most likely gonna have a fire. Okay, before we were talking about cutting and shaving a stick. Here it is. So basically, those, you can add that to your fire to start igniting the fire. Okay, But basically, if you don't cut this like this and you just keep doing notches and leave the notches there, you're gonna make what I said before on the video, feather sticks, okay? And here it goes, okay, feather sticks. This is what I was talking about. Another way to start a fire, guys, besides the bird's nest, is a TP fire. And that's a good way to start as well. And even you could do the bird's nest and make it and put the bird's nest inside the TP fire and start making your fire from there. Okay, next thing he talks about is trees. Okay, specifically pine. Okay. Okay, especially the needles. Okay, those needles of the pine are great. Will be a great value for you, even you know, to start a fire as well. And in some cases, guys, I'm not sure if it's the pine tree. You can even make tea out of it and drink tea. Okay, chapter 10 is trapping, okay? And when I say trapping, trapping is not the same thing as basically hunting in a way, okay? Hunting, maybe, you know, you're, again, I'm not an expert on this, and this book really doesn't get in detail with hunting, okay? But trapping is basically you'll set a trap, okay? Either with things that you already bought, like there's kits you can buy for trapping, and there's other kits that you can use and, you know, out of the ground, like a branch, and make it in a way for you to trap, okay, for you to catch an animal, okay. And then of course there's hunting when you're using like a weapon. Excuse me. But again, I'm no expert whatsoever on trapping and hunting, and I just recently started, you know, enjoying this whole bushcraft scene. I think it's pretty cool what these guys do, and girls, you guys are awesome at doing this. So I recommend you to read this on trapping section. Basically, one of the most famous ones is using a branch as a trigger, okay? And basically, you make a knot, and that thing triggers, ties up the knot, and you catch the animal. I think that's really, really cool. And I say cool. I don't want to offend any animal rights people out there, but we got to survive. You know how it is. I think that's a really smart way to catch an animal. As well as what I was telling you, there's things you could buy, other traps, and this is a good example of it. Okay, they call this the body grip trap, okay, and that's the one I was thinking, okay. And he goes on and explaining it to you, how to use it, how to maintain this, because you really need to maintain all your equipment, remember that. And another thing that you could do for trapping is a cable snare, okay. And I will show you the snare here. I think that's pretty cool as well. You can buy things, you know, to make your trip a little easier. And this is called the long spring trap, okay, as well as the coil spring trap. Okay, the coil spring trap, I think most of us have seen this. That's the coil spring. And the next one is the long trap. Okay. We've seen this before. And that's great, again, if you're trapping. And there's a couple pointers here as well, guys. I'm almost done. I know this is a long video. Oh my god, guys. You guys, I think, are going to get bored of this video. I gotta see the editing. Okay, and there are traps also that you can do on water. Another trap is called the water trap, guys. I'm gonna show you it. Another trap he talks about, and again, read it for yourselves, I'm not going to explain it, is a primitive trap. And I'll show you the picture. And then he talks about other traps as well, but no pictures. So I'm going to ask you guys to read that for you. Are bird traps. Okay. Next thing is he teaches you how to clean a fish. Okay, most of us most likely have a sense how to clean a fish. Either we've done it before, or we've seen someone doing it at like a supermarket. If you're reading this, most likely if you are reading this, you're just getting into bushcrafting. So here's the picture. You guys can pause it if you'd like. And then he talks about how to process this food. Now you have the fish, you have the meat, now what? You know, it might be too much for you to eat, okay? So one way to, you can do is by smoking the meat, okay? Or the fish. And he explains to us how to smoke the fish, okay? And the most convenient way to smoke the fish is by making a tripod. And basically, you're going to have to close it down. Most likely, I would recommend you guys to do a tarp, which I believe that's what he's using here. Okay. Okay. No. He's using even better. He's using that space blanket. There you go. And I'm going to show you basically the tripod. Okay. And you got to cover that with the space blanket. And you're going to have to let it smoke. Okay. I don't know for how long. He does not say here for how long to smoke the meat here. Does he? No, he didn't. He didn't say. So that's something you guys are going to have to either learn on your own or check another video on how to smoke your meat. So basically you make a little fire pit, and the whole goal is not to make a huge fire. You want a steady, small fire, and basically that smoke is going to be trapped inside that tripod that you're going to do, and that smoke is going to go up, and it's going to cure the meat, and you later can eat it and carry it with you for a few days without the meat getting spoiled. Okay? Okay, and the last pointer I want to point out is edibles. Things in the wild you can probably eat. Okay? For example, we always see basically berries, okay? Things like that. Nuts you can eat as well, okay? Again, this is, at this point, you're eating edibles from the ground. You got to be a little expert. I mean, I'm not going to be me myself. I'm not going to go out there and pick berries that I don't know if they're eatable or not and safe for you to eat. Okay. There goes my clock. That was my clock. Sorry about that. And last two pointers here in the end. He gives us bush recipes that you can do of food, and he gives us a number of recipes here that we can try out, making food out of rabbit or squirrel, frog legs, beaver, and so on. So I recommend you guys to check out those recipes. Those are pretty interesting recipes. And last but not least, okay, right in the end, he gives us definitions, basically a glossary of things that he might have spoken about, words that he said, and he gives out definitions of each thing. For example, bird's nests, a good example, canvases, cable snares, deadfall. I'm just skimming just through whatever catches my eye. Fell, fire lay, hammock, keyhole fire, I'm sorry. Things that oilcloth, things like that. He gives us definitions from A to Z. He gives us definitions, guys, and that's the end of the book. I know this was brutal. It was very brutal. If you're still here, thank you. If you're still here, okay. Do I recommend this book? Absolutely. I absolutely recommend this book. Okay, it's an excellent starter book, or it's an excellent book to recap your past experience camping, to sharpen up your mind once again. What else can I say? This book runs about $16.99 as of when I got it. It was roughly, I think I paid the book. It was on sale. I think I paid $9.99 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so I highly recommend this book, and I'm going to be reading another book from Dave Canterbury. Okay, I started reading it already. I'm not sure when I will be posting it, but the book is called The Bushcraft Field Guide to Trapping, Gathering, and Cooking in the Wild. My goal is to learn whatever I learned out of this video making. I want to pass it on to that video, next video I do on that book, so I don't bore you as much and make it more pleasant maybe to watch. Thanks for watching, and until next time.